Welcome, hello, I'm very glad to be invited out here. I don't like standing over there. The kids would tell you that I move a lot, I'm a little ADHD. I'm constantly changing gears, so please hang on. I want to first start by just painting a picture of the way it was when you were in school. The only people who got to do anything in robotics, especially if you're less than 12th grade, was if you had a really, really talented parent in engineering. Because there just weren't any how-to kits available. The costs were out of the park. You needed to know a lot before you could even get into the game, and you couldn't get into the game unless you were in college with some university level teaching you. All of that's changed. It then came down into the high schools only. High schools only with FIRST Robotics. That's the group, Central High School with the Raptors. They just went to Worlds. Incredible that they made it there. But for years, it's been only high schools. And now all of a sudden, even Lego League, FIRST Robotics tried to bring that down. But at $1,000 to start up one team to build one robot with 30 kids, that's kind of intimidating without a lot of hands-on. So a lot of schools just couldn't do it. And for years, the last superintendent in the district, Jane Moore, said, I want a robotics team in every school. Why aren't we doing this? Because it costs too much and it's really intimidating and it's a big team size and there's only one robot. Well, 3 years ago, they said to me, do you want to take over? And I said, if I do, I'm dismantling it. I don't like it. I need to build more robots with more kids. And 3 years ago, we started that. And accidentally, I started last year the largest independent robotics league in the state. We have robotics teams in every elementary school. Central Grade has 8 of them. Whereas we're not just TCAPs. Sutton's Bay and Elk Rapids and Northport, they all have them. There's homeschool teams that have them. They're in middle school, they're in high school, and it's all been done because the technology shifted to VEX. It's a cheaper platform with better entry points, but that's not really what I'm here asking for because TCAPS has now made the commitment to double the growth next year if there are parents willing to step forward. And that's what I'm here to talk about. The biggest difference is also rather than having 30 kids on a team, there are 3 or 4. That's it, 3 or 4. So it's manageable for one parent, a mom, a dad, someone who says, I don't know what I'm doing, but I can handle my kid plus their friends. That's a play date. So what we at Titan Robotics did, we said, how do we support the parents? So we do, I'm very excited to say that of those 60 teams, there are only 3 teachers involved. Every other team is run by a parent who simply said, okay, let's do it. This even goes beyond just robotics competitions. It goes into the worlds of 3D printing, anything STEM. This goes into a way to support parents who just want to get their kids engaged because they see an intrigued kid. So let me show you a couple of these pictures I threw together. Not that one, not that one. That's, okay. First, everything we did, this whole idea is driven and created by the kids. These are my high school kids teaching the high school kids about what this new vision was. And most of what they were saying was, we really like what Dean Kamen at FIRST Robotics did because he's like the grandfather of it all, but we don't like some of what he did, so we're going to throw away some of them, we're going to keep the good parts. And they rewrote the whole system to actually fall in line with TCAPS's mission statement currently posted online, which is engaging every kid with their level, where they're at, when they need it. That's big, when they need it. That's a huge piece. Then, of course, we go into, that's just some high school kids, and these are crappy locations. He scored a perfect score on his ACT, had his pick of colleges, Charlie Rogers, programming in the hallway because we don't have a facility for him to work in. We fixed that. TCAPS has made that facility for him. They carved out a space. We have a computer lab. No, we have no computers. I had a company step forward and get me all the shelves. This is the kind of stuff we're now creating. So the high school kids are running it for the middle school. This is over at Aero Parks with NMC, so we're doing a lot of partnering with them because of their robotics programs and technologies. Of course, we do still have fun and just are kind of goofy. This is an Eastern Elementary group that went through and saw our 3D printing program, which is, of course, also donated by another company, RJG, right here in Traverse City. But again, we now only have 2 printers, and how many kids can we put on 2 printers? 2 kids. How many parents can we train at a time? 2 parents. We have another need. We've partnered with McDonald's to try to gain a few extra $1,000 just to get more in. So we've been scraping by with little bits and pieces everywhere. This is an example of the elementary robotics. This is the very first one done out of Glen Lake. Incredible place. It started with only 5 teams last summer, younger brothers and sisters, and some middle school and high school kids. We have over 60 with over 250 kids participating. This was our final presentation here at West Senior High. We had 7 fields across the West Senior High Gymnasium. It was mayhem, but it was just to see that many kids out there. And of course, for the number crunchers, I'm not gonna go through it, but I have a $70,000 ask. There's a detailed budget. These are some slides of what we're looking for, and here's your detailed spreadsheet. If you want to know exactly what we want, that wish list is there. But in the most immediate, what we are looking for, the thing that grants, I can write grants until I'm blue in the face, and I do a really good job at it, and I don't mind saying that, but the thing that grants won't support is staffing. Everything that I've created has come out to $2,000, and that's all that I've been able to pay myself to basically build everything we've done. Nobody can support staffing in the public granting sector. It has to come from private corporate. The next thing that we're really looking for are folks who say, I can give you those computers so you can not only have, now while the whole district went 1-to-1, with meaning every kid gets a computer, if you've ever tried programming on a netbook, you can't teach programming on a screen this big. It just doesn't work. So we're talking about split screen monitors to go in the electronics lab that's already been supplied and supported. It's just an empty space. We're going into the quadcopter markets. If anyone wants to get into aerial drones, we've actually had a student last year build out a racing. He said, we need to do racing quadcopters. What? That's what NMC does. He said, but we can learn how to do it, right? If we stay indoors, we can do anything we want. So we are. We're actually doing an introduction to quadcopters. So there's a few $1,000 ask there. There are so many places. Then, of course, there's your technical resources. If you have a hands-on, somebody in direct manufacturing, if you have old bandsaws, skill saws, if you have drill presses. I'm right now running all of this. I'm teaching manufacturing processes on an $89 Lowe's special. Meh. It works. It's what we can do in public education without private support, but this is the next step, is reaching out to the public community, the public businesses, and say, let's now take it to the next level, because what we're ultimately talking about is getting the kids engaged younger in their talent areas, because in robotics and STEM, you'll find that your kids have an interest in one of 3 things. Either programming, because they maybe are a linguist, mechanical design, because they just visually see it, or they're just a skilled driver. All 3 of those fields, as you know, are making upwards of $80,000 out of high school with a 2-year education, if they're willing to travel. That's an incredible amount of money. And if you can get them hooked earlier, that's where the game is. So I'm about supporting parents. The kids are pushing. Any questions? Yes.
What's the organizational structure? Your organizational structure?
Everything right now is, well, last year was flying under the pants of Sandra Scott as the associate superintendent, who was pretty much saying, if you don't cost me money, you can do whatever you want. And it's been otherwise West Senior High School's Titan Robotics with the vision, writing it down, putting it into place. And West Senior High School then mentoring the parents and training the trainers in essence, and creating those programs and opening up our space so those parents could come in and make an independent, autonomous team that they could then take back to their elementary school. And that's how we exploded that program there, and at both East and West Middle School, and at the homeschool front. It's really been me giving the high school kids what they need on a shoestring, and then the high school kids duplicating out that effort so that each school can independently start and run their clubs and their teams the way they want to. And it used to be, if you can find PTO funds for it, and now the district has stepped forward saying, this has got enough momentum, so we will buy any parent that has ready to coach a team. We'll take care of their first robotics kit, which is a pretty cool offer from that TCAPS. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you have competitions with robots and stuff like that. And as a matter of fact, I went to one of them once, and it was pretty cool. But how do you come up with like the goal of the robots?
The game.
Like
Okay.
I've seen.
Well, I guess I want to first separate 2 things.
Yeah.
The competition side is one small part of this big vision, which is really about enabling the adults and the parents who are going to step forward and volunteer into an unknown area. How do you enable them to take this and go back to their school? There's already 3D printers going into every elementary school, but what good is it if a teacher stands at the front of the room and demonstrates a volcano getting 3D printed to a class of 30 who can only watch? Okay, so great, it was being used for 30, 40 minutes. What about the other 23 and a half hours in the day? Why can't we train a parent to do it so they can create a morning club and work with 3 kids in the morning before school? That would be really cool. So that's the big picture. But these competitions, this is all part of a national league. Vex Robotics grew out of First Robotics, and they're the ones that write the game. And the biggest difference between, say, Lego or First Robotics is there the kids get to compete once, maybe twice in the school year. Vex Robotics is built around a sports model, so you're competing, well, there are 5 competitions in January and February, 5 more in February and March, and 8 more in April and May, in a sports structure. So the kids go, try it out. If it fails, they take it back to their school, they fix it, they change it, they bring it back the next week, and they compete again. It's what we call a league structure. It's built for a lot more of that growth remodeling, but it is based off of this larger parent company for our competition. It's called Vex Robotics. Yes?
You use the term parents. Are you looking for more than parents?
The more parents we have, the more teams we can have.
What about non-parents?
I have 1 pair so far that have stepped forward. They're over at Westwoods. They're actually a retired elementary teacher and the technology director for the state of Michigan Education. They retired here, and they said, we want to get involved. And they are actually, between the 2 of them, running 5 teams at Westwoods. Without them, Westwoods would have no team. So absolutely, if there is an interest in working with younger kids, there's a big need at those schools for those individuals to step forward. Yeah?
Is there any real world job applications and things like that that are working with the curriculum for the teams beyond just the competition? Is there any kind of job shadowing or visits or kind of company interaction?
Once we have identified at the high school level, yes. The high school level, we take part in the manufacturing day, which is put on by NMC. We also have kids who will go out to some of these partners that we've already set up, but that's only at the high school level. The more business partners we get who identify themselves and say, hey, do you know how cool what you're doing is? Do you want to see real machines work in a clean manufacturing setting? And we can set those up. Those opportunities will begin existing as each elementary school really starts building out their own programs, which again are going to be driven by which parents are at that school and which parents are involved. Any other?
Anybody else? I give testimony. My child tried it for the first time this year. I had no clue. I don't practice on that side of my brain whatsoever. So I thought, well, the only way you're going to do it is somebody else volunteers. And they did, and they brought him in, and it was amazing. So the addition, here's a child that's totally gifted in this area and can build hotels out of Legos in his bedroom, and I can't participate. And this gives him another outlet to be able to. That was great. It was awesome. So thank you very much.
Probably one of the easiest people to find in TCAPS. Any elementary principal knows how to find me.
Yeah.
Anybody at administration knows how to find me. Anybody at the high schools knows how to find me. Or you can just go to Leaprit, and they have information on their program site also about how to find me.
Thank you very much for being here.